Wo bist du, Bruder, wenn die Sonne über uns zieht? Wo bist du, Shiva, wenn die Erde unter uns weht?
In 2015, Nepal was hit by two massive earthquakes of 7.8 and 7.3 Richter scales respectively, followed by several aftershocks for months and months. When I first saw it in the news, I couldn't believe my eyes. I was left devastated when I could not contact my family members because the telecommunication and the internet services were down. After 6 hours of continuous tries, I was finally able to speak to my cousin brother. It was a huge relief when he said that everybody on our side was safe. Unfortunately, this was not the case with few people I knew. In fact, the consequences of the earthquakes were horrific. Around 9,000 people lost their lives, about 22,000 were reported injured, and some 3.5 million people became homeless. Despite the efforts of all the INGOs, NGOs, foreign aids and the government to help the victims, we realized that it was a high time for us to do something for the people back home. What urged us even more was the news that some villages were still out of reach for any kind of help. With the aim to support one of these villages with temporary houses, we immediately set up a meeting and a team to collect funds in the streets of Bonn. We extended our campaign by organizing events to sell foods and play music. On top of that, we participated in cultural events organized by the University of Bonn by singing folk Nepalese music and performing traditional dance in the hope of collecting as much fund as possible. With the funds we collected over this short span of time, we were able to provide CGI sheets to build temporary living places to about 110 households in Chum Valley and Sikri village. Helping the people get provisional living places during the most crucial times was a success on our side. From the feedback we got for our campaign and the support we received the whole time, we got motivated to extend our efforts to further help the earthquake victims. This was also because we believed in us and knew that we can achieve more than what we have. As the dust of the earthquake settled down and people started living normal life, we began setting long-term goals for our campaign. We decided that our project would focus Sikri village in providing technical and financial support in agriculture as majority of the people were dependent on it. Meanwhile, we had been organizing and participating in several events like we did in the past to increase the amount of funds. We continue to do it even to this day. As our first post-earthquake activity, we financed 70 houses to cultivate and produce organic tomatoes through tunneling, providing silpaulin plastic sheets and tomato seeds. Since agriculture in the village was based on traditional knowledge, we realized the need of getting an agricultural technician. Now for more than 6 months, we have hired an expert to guide and provide practical knowledge and skills to improve the agricultural practice in the village. The reports from the first harvest of the tomatoes were impressive. From each house, there were harvests ranging from 100 to 350 kilograms of tomatoes. Besides self-consumption, the villagers were also able to sell the tomatoes in the local market, making some money between 5,000 and 20,000 Nepalese rupees. The villagers are now tempted towards generating more income from further cultivation and agriculture, and we intend to support them in every way we can. In 2016, while I was back home, I took the opportunity to visit Sikri village and get to see the post-earthquake life and know any influence we've had on the people there since we started our project. Me and a friend of mine packed our stuffs for a few days and started our journey of about 185 kilometers from Kathmandu early in the morning. The village is located in Jiri, which is the municipality of Dolkha district. This northeastern part of Nepal used to be the gateway to Mount Everest back in the days. Today, the trailhead starting from Sikri is referred to as classic route to Everest, as only 5% of all the trekkers prefer this route because of its difficulty. We were given a warm welcome to the village by our hosts Om Jirel and Ganesh Jirel. They are the locals who have been constantly in touch since we started our project in Sikri. As the dusk arrived, I took a walk around the village. I saw that the houses destroyed during the earthquakes still remained untouched after 1.5 years of the disaster. The government's promise to help people rebuild their houses still seemed to be echoing somewhere in the woods. Before calling it a day after a long day's ride, we discussed few things such as the impact of earthquake, life after earthquake, the start of our project, its impact and few supports the village expects in the future. Early next morning, we were introduced to few new faces in the village. These people gave us a guided tour and took us to few tunnels where tomatoes had been planted. It was nice to see that the tomatoes were growing well and would soon be ready to be consumed or sold. The people told that the village had the advantage of having fertile soil for any kind of cultivation, and a stream flowing through the village throughout the year for irrigation. I saw this as an opportunity to do mass cultivation of crops and vegetables and later sell them in the market, the only constraints being lack of technical support and strategy to bring the harvest to the market. I immediately noted this down to share it with my team. Later in the afternoon, we had a big open meeting where almost everyone from the village showed up. We wrote down important things people had to say, things that worked out and things that didn't, along with few expectations people have in the future from our side. All in all, people seemed really positive from what we are trying to give and seemed really motivated to remain involved in our project. With all these efforts we've made so far, we collected a total of about 9,000 euros. It's not a big amount, but this is just a beginning of something great we want to achieve. This has been possible only because of big-hearted people who were willing to contribute or volunteer in our campaign. The time and energy our team has put to get to this point is priceless. I thank each one of you who has been part of the campaign so far. We are in the process of operating as a registered organization. In the near future, we'll represent ourselves as Rhineland Nepal Initiative. The solidarity we've shown in one of the darkest days of Nepal, the trust we've built among us, and the synergy of several helping hands we've created along the campaign will definitely help us reach our goals. Since the first day, we've been selfless to contribute to anything that would raise the standard of life or improve the quality of life of the earthquake victims. We aim to do more.